On this week's show, the United States Postal Service announces a couple of price increases that are a little bit confusing. Poshmark announces a ton of new features, and I've got a massive What Sold recap. What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to episode number 263 of the Galaxy Cities Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to be your host as we go through a handful of reselling news updates, a couple of big ones from the post office that are a little confusing because it looks like some of them apply to some people and not others at various times. So we're going to cover all of that. Poshmark made some big announcements at PoshFest, and we've got an update from Walmart, and I think one other thing, and then at the end of the show, a huge What Sold recap. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. I will put timestamps in the show notes and the video description down below, so if you want to go to a particular section before we get into all of that. For those of you who may be following me over on Instagram or saw my post, I just want to thank everybody who reached out to check on me. For those of you listening to the podcast who don't follow me on YouTube or on Instagram, I was in a massive car accident on Thursday night on my way home, and my car is probably totaled. As it turned out, it was a couple of teenagers who had stolen a car and blew through an intersection and slammed into me at a very high rate of speed. I've been a little bit sore, I think, from the seatbelt retracting me into my seat, and I haven't quite been able to shake the scent of deployed airbags, but otherwise I'm unharmed. But I did want to thank everybody. I received literally hundreds of messages across multiple platforms, so I appreciate everybody who took a moment to reach out to make sure I was okay and to offer assistance or help or anything that I needed. I absolutely appreciate it very much. I am here and doing well enough to do this show, so let's get right into it.
News updates.
We are going to start with this from Value Added Resource. This is the first of two United States Postal Service price increases that are a little bit unusual. This first one is a zip code rate increase that this article says mimics rural delivery surcharge for priority mail and ground advantage. So what is going on here is these are based on zip codes, not zones as we are most accustomed to. So online marketplaces and postage providers are warning users of new negotiated USPS rate increases going into effect on September 16th. So in about a week, these go into effect for weight-based and cubic packages up to 20 pounds with priority mail flat rate, and ground advantage service. This does not apply, apparently, to media mail, which is good for us booksellers. We're gonna catch a couple of breaks. We've taken a couple of pretty big hits over the last year. So confusingly, these rate adjustments, as I just mentioned, are zip code based rather than using the familiar zone structure, raising questions about whether the increase is a de facto rural delivery surcharge. eBay provided the following announcement on the change, along with a spreadsheet with a list of zip codes that will be impacted by the rate increase, but unfortunately, the post office themselves has not provided details about what the exact amount of the increase will be. I talk on this show pretty regularly about all the platforms and how important I feel like transparency is, and here is another case. This is a week away, and nobody knows, at least as of this recording, as I sit here on Sunday morning, what the actual price increase is going to be. The eBay announcement read, effective September 16th, 2024, USPS will increase rates for package delivery to select zip codes. Although this increase affects a very low percentage of transactions on eBay.com, you may see a higher shipping label cost for some locations. The increase, again, is for weight-based and cubic packages up to 20 pounds, priority mail flat rate, and ground advantage delivery to these zip codes. The eBay shipping calculator will automatically update on September 16th with the new rates, even though we don't know what they are yet. Good stuff. So this ends up being, it's over 17,000 zip codes. I think it's 17,600, 17,800 zip codes. It is essentially just a little over 40% of every zip code in the United States is going to be impacted by this price increase. But these are primarily, it appears from people who have looked into it, rural areas that are not heavily populated so eBay is able to say with some confidence that it's going to affect a very small percentage of transactions. It sounds like a lot, 17,000 plus zip codes, 40% of all zip codes. But again, it seems to be a lot in areas where there are not a lot of folks living. So there is a link in this article and, of course, on eBay's original post to a spreadsheet you can download if you want to go in and look at all of those zip codes to see if you're in or out. But yeah, I will link to this article and, of course, all the others mentioned in today's show down in the show notes and the video description down below. Importantly, shippers should know that these changes appear to only impact negotiated rates for postage purchased through third-party providers like marketplaces, Pirate Ship, Stamps.com, and Center, not to direct retail or commercial rates from the post office. So if you are a person, small seller, that goes into the post office and buys your postage there, A, you're paying too much for postage. Stop doing that. But B, you're not going to be affected by whatever this price increase is because it is only for these third parties. There was a price increase that went into effect, I want to say a couple of months ago, that was also a change just to these third parties. So again, the marketplaces like eBay and Amazon and so on, and pirate ships and those sorts of things. Again, over 17,000 zip codes on the list. The writer asks, how is it possible that this change will impact a very low percentage of transactions? Again, because it seems to be that these are mostly buyers in rural areas where there's just not a lot of folks. So be aware that this goes into effect on the 16th. If you use these third-party platforms, I wish I could tell you how much the price increase is going to be, but everybody is saying that their software will be updated to correctly reflect that and that it should not be all that many. They also announced, I think the day after, a holiday 2024 peak season rate hike, which goes into effect on October 6th, which is super early this year. But this one comes with a bit of good news. You may recall last year, the post office skipped the holiday surcharge altogether. We did not get that lucky this year. It is back, but it appears that it is only going to affect those retail counter buyers, not people who use those third-party services. So here we're going to catch a bit of a break. It's that not most wonderful time of the year when the holiday shopping ramps up and carriers roll out peak season surcharges and rate hikes. USPS announced an increase in postage prices for commercial and retail domestic competitive parcels shipped again with Priority Mail Express, Priority Mail, and USPS Ground Advantage. These are going to run for a very long time from October 6th through January 19th. As you may recall, the twice a year price increases, just the normal price increases that the United States Postal Service implements. One of those is in January. It will probably be around this date. So effectively, postage is going up on October 6th, rather, probably close to permanently. Good stuff. The U.S. Postal Service filed notice today with the Postal Regulatory Commission regarding a temporary price change for some package services for the 2024 peak holiday season. Temporary price adjustment is to help cover extra handling costs to ensure a successful peak season. In past experience in the years they've done this, I can't say that I've noticed any change in service level, really. It seems to be about the same. It's actually, if anything, it's been slower despite the price increase and supposedly all this extra people they've been hiring. The planned peak season pricing, which was approved by the governors of the Postal Service on August 8th, would affect prices on the following commercial and retail domestic competitive parcels. Again, Priority Mail Express, Priority Mail, USPS Ground Advantage. No other products or services would be affected. So again, us media shippers are going to catch a break because historically, this price increase, this temporary price increase, has affected media mail as well. It is said specifically in this release that it is only those categories. So again, as we sit here right now, there are instances where Ground Advantage is still cheaper than media mail. Come October 6th, which is again about a month away, that may not be the case. So you'll want to be sure that you're checking both. And again, this has gotten a lot more cumbersome than it used to be because it used to be pretty straightforward. But now you've got different levels of pricing to different zones, and additionally, potentially different zip codes within those zones. And now you've got this holiday pricing thing. So you're going to have to be really careful about watching your shipping pricing. Again, the temporary rates go into effect midnight Central Time on October 6th and remain in place until midnight Central on January 19th. I'm not going to go over, again, I'll link to this. There's a huge chart of all the increases. They range from a low of about 30 cents for lightweight packages in zones close to you to a increase of about $18 at the high end for heavier packages by Priority Mail Express to zones further away from you. But it's a pretty big list. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see as I scroll through here, it kind of goes on forever. Again, it is important to note that these changes will only impact prices directly from USPS, either at the post office or through USPS website under their retail or commercial shipping programs. So this price increase does not seem to be being passed along to those commercially negotiated rates for, again, the platforms like eBay and Amazon, and for third-party shipping platforms like Stamps.com and Pirate Ship. So if that is actually the case, which historically it has not been, this has been something that was across the board, didn't matter how you shipped, what service you used, you were stuck with this surcharge. This article seems to indicate that that's not going to be the case. If you use one of those third-party services, you're not going to pay this increase, which will be a terrific thing for online sellers. So let me know if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify what you think of these two announcements from USPS. The prices just keep going up. Service continues to be pretty spotty. I had an entire day's worth of shipments back on August 30th that were missing for almost a week. 4 of the 12 are still not scanned at any point in their journey. The other 8 now are at least appear to be moving and or have been delivered. And I live in an area which has been historically pretty free of issues. I know if you're down in Georgia, it's been particularly bad, but it's been frustrating to say the least. Constant price increases, essentially 3 times a year now, the 2 standard ones plus this seasonal surcharge, while service continues to be fairly suspect. So let me know your thoughts on the wonderful world of the United States Postal Service. Poshmark. For some better news, if you are a seller on Posh, man, they knocked it out of the park at the PoshFest Hackathon 2024. They are now offering consignments, giveaways, AI listing tools, and so much more. This is a pretty lengthy article. I'm going to try to hit the high points, not try to go too far in depth on this because we'd be here all day, but it is a huge, huge announcement list from Poshmark. They unveiled new features and tools as part of PoshFest 2024 Hackathon with consignment offerings in partnership with trusted sellers, new options for giveaways, and auction timing for Posh shows, AI listing tools, and more. So this first one, Posh show giveaways. This is for the U.S. only. Posh shows make it easy to reach more buyers and accelerate your sales. We're so excited to see that many of you love this feature and committed to building tools to make selling live even better. Soon, we'll be introducing giveaways. As a host, you can reward loyal buyers, attract new followers, and create excitement by giving away free items. It's a fun and simple way to boost engagement with your shoppers and make your shows even more interactive. So that is a very cool addition to Posh shows. Smart List AI. Here we go again. I don't want to sound like an old man, get off my lawn, but this AI stuff, man, there's a lot of it. I see it in the comments of these videos all the time when we have a conversation about AI. A lot of it is not ready for prime time. We'll see how this one goes. Smart List AI. Discover the power of AI technology with Smart List AI, an innovative tool designed to revolutionize the listing process on Poshmark. Smart List automates and streamlines the task of creating listings, saving you valuable time and effort. If it works better than eBay's AI-generated listing descriptions, then it might be a win. If it is about like that, I'm not sold. So let me know if you're a Posher. Let me know what you think of any or all of these new features. Smart List AI is currently in beta testing with a select group of sellers. We're excited to roll this feature out to more sellers as it improves That's a giveaway that they're still having some issues. And share SmartList AI with you soon. Keep an eye out for more information. The article points out that Poshmark first announced image-based AI-powered listing was coming soon during PoshFest 2023. Initial beta testing for that has been going on for over a year. Another U.S.-only addition, Poshmark Consignment, which is also in beta. With Consignment, we're leveraging the strength of our community by partnering with trusted sellers like you to list and sell on behalf of others. This is an interesting one. With this network, we aim to make selling on Poshmark easier and more accessible while also increasing the earning potential of our experienced sellers. At this time, we are beta testing with Poshers in the San Francisco Bay Area. Stay tuned for more details as we expand. They're inviting sellers in select areas to apply as Poshmark Closet partners who will list and sell items provided by other Poshers, also known as consigners. While in beta, Closet partners will gain access to fresh merchandise to grow their business and help shape the future of this network. There's a handy flowchart of how it works. You'll meet with consigners in your area. You'll get bags filled with their items delivered to your door. You'll use their innovative seller tools to quickly list or host shows, and you'll receive, as a seller, a 50-50 earnings split with your consignor as you make the sales. Let me know what you think of that. I guess I would be on the fence about a 50-50 split. Part of me says that's a pretty good deal because they're providing you with the stuff, and you will have more items to sell than you ordinarily would have, so you'll be making more sales. So arguably this is free money. On the flip side of it, you're the one doing all the work. You're the one doing the listing. You're the one taking the photos. You're the one doing the shipping. You're the one doing everything. And I'm not sure, I guess, depending on the value of this stuff, that a 50-50 split would work for me. It's one of the reasons that I don't personally do consigned items very often in my reselling business, because it's hard to come up with, obviously 50-50, just split the baby is the number to go to, and then everybody can just be upset that they don't think they're getting enough money. But I feel like the effort that goes into it probably warrants a little more than a 50-50 split. You can let me know in the comments, again, on YouTube or on Spotify, what you think of that. But I'm not sure that is enough for me. Why join? Expand your earning potential. Tap into closets in and around your local area to unlock more opportunities to sell and earn, like I just said. Easy access to merchandise, risk-free. Fresh merchandise will be delivered straight to your door without sourcing. Inventory risk or earnings management required. That is true. This is all going to be until it is sold, and you have to, however the payments work, pay the other person for it. This is not stuff you'll be paying for in advance. This is consigned goods, so your cost of goods sold at the outset, at least, is nothing. You have no outbound cash flow in order to get this merchandise. Support a circular economy, do good by the planet, and join a network that supports reducing waste by helping give secondhand items a new life. In addition to being located in the San Francisco Bay Area, sellers in the beta program must agree to the following. They must be available to receive and safely store consignment deliveries weekly. They must list and sell a wide variety of merchandise, brands, and categories. They must accurately research, photograph, price, and list all consignment items in an accurate and timely manner. I guess I don't know what the requirement is for the type of stuff that people are able to bring you. If you bring me a bag of stuff that is damaged, stained, torn, whatever, what do I have to list that stuff just because you gave it to me? What's the parameters? What's the leeway? If you're a Posher and you're considering or in this program currently, let us know how that works, because that reads like you've got to list all consignment items. And I would assume there are going to be items that come to you that either have little or no value, that it just doesn't make any sense to waste your time listing. So I'm not sure about that part. Adopt Poshmark tools to be an effective seller, including sharing offers, Posh shows, etc., and help grow the network by sending empty bags to consigners upon request. So pretty healthy list of requirements there. But again, it's an opportunity to get free inventory, quote unquote free, just your labor involved to get a 50-50 split of whatever happens to sell. So that's an interesting take on that. They do list some other features that will be, they say, coming soon. A listing template. Create a listing description template with your own default text, such as offers welcome, that will be automatically added to every new listing you create. They list in this one listing streak rewards as something that will be coming, but that is already available now. So people are in that. Another US only feature, easy for me to say. Maybe I'm a little more rattled from that car wreck than I thought. Scan and sell, US only. Scan the QR code on your Coachtopia item and resell it on Poshmark with just a few clicks. Share shows. Listers can share items to share shows in one click, growing your viewer and shopper community. Listing tray. Add up to 100 listings to your tray to provide viewers with even more items to shop and discover. Offer to likers upgrade. See your last offer to likers price and the highest offer you can submit based on your lowest previous one, eliminating the guesswork and saving you time. Sudden death. Drive shopper urgency and sell to the last bidder by running an auction with a timer that doesn't reset. My brands filter. Shoppers can filter by brands they're interested in purchasing, increasing the visibility of your relevant listings. There is a link in this article to the hackathon reveal. And again, this will all be linked in the show notes and the video description down below. If you're a Posher, it's good times to be over on Poshmark. They are being very active and doing a lot of stuff over there. Let's talk a little bit about Mercari. So this has been rolling out for a while with the big push from Mercari with this the Japanese drops and all of this, the Japanese merchandise being added to the site. We've talked a little bit about from the marketing aspect to try to increase sales, increase listings, increase interest in the platform, understanding from the big 60,000 foot overview why this may be happening, why they're doing it. But it's, again, led to some frustration among both buyers and sellers. Again, this article is also on Value Added Resource. Mercari's Japan focus leaves U.S. buyers and sellers frustrated. Is expansion hurting the platform? As Mercari U.S. pushes items from Japan, buyers are saying the site feels less relevant and sellers say sales are suffering. Is this international expansion just another failed strategy on top of fee structure changes introduced earlier this year? The cross-border Hail Mary Pass launched in July with Mercari opening up direct shipping from Japan to the U.S. market by partnering with Beano's for international fulfillment. Buyers can filter results to just Japan to see all that inventory or to U.S. only if they want to exclude those items. But even with this option, some say that the experience on Mercari U.S. seems less relevant and more cluttered, and others are annoyed at the amount of marketing emails and ads they are seeing, pushing Mercari Japan drops. And they have, to their credit, they want this thing to work, so they have been blowing it up. There have been a lot of banners on the site and notifications and whatnot, and it can seem a bit overwhelming, I guess. Mercari US is once again leaning into discounting, trying to goose numbers on this new strategy by offering $15 off items shipped from Japan. I have not received that offer. It looks like this would have probably expired yesterday, 2 days ago. I don't remember ever seeing that. I've currently got a $10 off coupon in my notifications from Mercari. But even with the discount, many buyers say the prices are too high as they include all those costs we've talked about for inspection, handling, and importing, as well as higher international shipping costs. There was one seller said $15 off, or one buyer rather. Mercari Japan purchases isn't shipping and customs incredibly expensive, though. I don't think $15 off will make much of a dent. Another responded that the $15 item would end up costing $30 plus, even after applying the discount, again, due to that shipping and those fees. There were a couple of sellers that commented that they felt like sales were going down and that it at least was coincident in timing with all of this Japanese drop stuff. Sales declined on Mercari. Anyone else noticing issues since the Japan expansion? One seller wrote, I've been selling on Mercari for about 4 years now, and lately I've noticed a significant drop in my sales. I understand that summer can be slow, but this decline is more drastic than anything I've experienced before. It seems to have started around the time of Mercari's Japan's integration into the platform. At first, I thought the Japan expansion was a strategic move to support their Japanese sellers, but from an American perspective, it feels like an odd choice, especially considering Mercari's efforts to build its presence in the U.S. Since the Japan drop, I've seen several issues, bugs with hashtag searches on desktop, image loading problems, and strange notification behavior. Let me know if you're a seller on Mercari. What do you think of all of this? How has Mercari been for you? I personally have had some issues with the website not loading properly when I try to cross-post. It just sits there and has the little wheel of death. It just spins and spins and spins. Then the pages won't load. Eventually, it seems to reset itself and I'm able to finish, but that has been a problem. I have not noticed personally any real change in my sales velocity. It has been, other than a couple of weeks where, and I've talked about that pretty much all summer, sales have been up and down, very inconsistent. One week will be fantastic, the next week not so much, and that trend has been evident also on Mercari, and I can't say I've noticed any change, kind of, again, coincident with the timing of this Japan drop. I talked about when they did back in the spring, the fee change, that's a mouthful, that I had a couple of weeks there that were pretty suspect where buyers were adjusting to that new program, but that seems to have passed and I'm not having any issues with sales. It's not great. Mercari has never been fantastic for me as a bookseller, but it's back to its normal 4 to 5 transactions a week. So no issues for me there. But several writers to the site continued. Traffic to my listings has dropped significantly since the integration of Japan items, which I can see. I guess if you go to the site and it's full of all this extra stuff, thousands on thousands of listings, it may be more difficult for any one individual listing to get views because there's just so much more stuff to look at. I don't know. This person says on average, they only get 10 views on a relisted item in 24 hours. I'm not one. I don't really look at my views all that often. I have, for instance, just on eBay, I'll go through and I'll look at items occasionally and I'll see things that say they have 0 views, but they have 3 or 4 or 5 watchers. Well, how do you have watchers if you haven't had any views? Maybe they watched it so long ago that the view has fallen out of the data, but that just doesn't seem to make any sense. There doesn't seem to be a good correlation between watchers, views, and sales. So that's a metric that I just don't really pay that much attention to. Another one said, has anyone else seen a sharp decline in sales in the last 2 to 3 weeks? Yes, a decline after the new fee structure and now a ghost town after Mercari Japan. They're pushing the Japanese-based sellers because Mercari is a Japanese company. I don't know that that is actually the case. I'm going to try to get someone from Mercari on here to talk to us about this whole program at some point and see what that's all about, where the impetus for this came from, and what kind of impact they're seeing on their numbers because of it. As a potential buyer, it is a little bit more cluttered. The marketing has been very, very in your face about this stuff. But again, from my personal experience, let me know in the comments if your mileage is different. I've not noticed really any change in my sales. Again, another seller wrote, absolutely agree. Since Mercari Japan came into the mix, the site feels way less relevant for U.S. buyers. It's now flooded with Japanese listings that are often way overpriced. Who is asking for collectible J-pop items or extremely overpriced common U.S. items with ridiculous shipping fees right before the Japanese expansion? No one, they said. Now those listings are just automatically mixed in and we have to filter them out ourselves. Here's a bright idea. Since Mercari is a US site, how about adding an option to toggle Japan listings on rather than just having them show everything by default? So there you go. That's kind of what's going on over at Mercari. Let me know what your sales have been like over there and if you've been getting any feedback from buyers about the fee structure having been changed. Last bit of reselling news for this week, Walmart announced teaming up with StockX to steal eBay's sneaker thunder in a pre-owned expansion push. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about Walmart's foray into collectibles and that sort of thing and offering 0 seller fees and that sort of stuff for people who were listing those type of items. Now they are partnering with StockX to try to get into the sneaker business. Walmart is taking an unusual approach to fast-track pre-owned expansion into sneakers and streetwear with StockX partnership, bringing hot drops to the marketplace. The deal will offer dozens of pre-verified shoes, ranging from Nike Air Jordans and collaborations with Travis Scott to those from New Balance Athletics, ASICs, available on Walmart's website starting next week, with StockX fulfilling and verifying the products, according to an article in Bloomberg. Shoppers are looking for this full spectrum of products from Walmart, whether that's staples or collectible items, said an executive from Walmart, who added that Walmart is experiencing healthy demand for these coveted sneakers. The partnership, the first between Walmart and StockX, is part of the retailer's efforts to beef up its online business to grab more spending from Amazon and other retail giants. Walmart said last week, again, that it will expand the assortment on its marketplace of third-party vendors to include pre-owned and collectible products, building on its offering of refurbished electronics. For StockX, this marks their first third-party platform deal. Chief Executive Officer Scott Cutler said in an interview, the Walmart deal will help StockX reach new customer base, including customers who may be unfamiliar with the brand, which I would guess the normal sneaker buyer may not have ever heard of it. Collectible sneaker buyers absolutely know who StockX is. The article points out that the 800-pound gorilla in the room appears to be that the other retail giant most assuredly means eBay, a company for whom both Walmart Marketplace VP and category lead Michael Moser and StockX CEO Scott Cutler worked for back in 2019. So this is a big move for Walmart and potentially even a bigger move for StockX to open up their wares to a lot more potential buyers. So let me know what you think of all of that news. And with that, let's talk about a big What's Old recap. So it was a terrific last couple of weeks, really, here. If you've been following the What's Old recaps, I did one 2 Wednesdays ago that had 15 or 18 items in it. Then from then to last week's show, there was another 8 that were worth talking about. And here today, I think I've got 15 or 16 more really nice sales. So let's just jump right in. This first item, Deepwater Sail with Illustrations and Plans, a first edition hardcover from 1952, written by Harold Underhill. This was part of the big 15,000 book lot, the gift that just keeps giving. It's been 2 years now since I completed that purchase, and I still am selling stuff from that every week. I know a lot of people, to go on a bit of a tangent here, talk about not wanting to have kind of long tail inventory and things that sit for a fairly long time. Again, this is a case where an item that is on my accounting books for less than 4 cents and has been here for a couple of years ended up bringing a pretty profitable sale. I had this listed for $29.99. I received an offer of $21, which I went ahead and accepted, plus shipping. My fees were $4.81 plus a $2.04 fee for the promoted listings general. It was $6.88 to ship. Again, cost of goods sold was roughly 4 cents. So a item sold price of $21 led to a net profit of $14.11. Next item also on eBay. This was part of a big lot of legal books that I picked up, maybe a month ago. Starkey on Evidence, Volume 1 from 1842, a practical treatise of the law of evidence. This was a leather hardcover published way back in the 1800s. Again, part of a big lot of legal books that I bought for a net price of 91 cents a piece. Had this listed for $24.99, sent out an offer, and sold it for $21.24 plus shipping. Fees, $4.45. Promoted listing general fee, again, of $2.11. Cost of goods sold, 91 cents. Item sold for $21.24 plus shipping and netted me $14.56. Legal books are another one. Not super fast sellers by any stretch of the imagination, but can bring decent money. I picked up, as part of this lot, a not quite complete collection of books known as Ohio Jurisprudence and American Jurisprudence. There are probably, I want to say, maybe 60 books a piece in those collections, and I'm selling a couple of those a week. Again, the cost of goods sold on those was 91 cents. If you can get them for $1 or $2, they are selling very consistently for $14 and $15. So if you're in a position where you can and are interested in doing kind of long tail book inventory, they can be worth taking a look at if you can buy them cheaply enough. First sale of the week over on Etsy. I am running 10% off again this month on Etsy. So this is 30 Sermons by HMS Richards. This was a paperback first printing by the Voice of Prophecy from back in 1961. This was part of the same estate sale pickup where I got all those legal books, oddly enough. This sold, was listed for $23.99 with the discount. It sold for $21.59 plus shipping. $2.79 in fees, cost of goods sold 91 cents. So the item sold for $21.59 and netted me $17.89. Another one on Etsy. This was something I picked up at an estate sale, probably 6 or 8 months ago for $1. Man Outside Himself, Methods of Astral Projection by H.F. Prevost Battersby from 1969. Interesting little paperback book, if I remember correctly. Had it listed for $26.99. This sold for $24.29 plus shipping. Fees, $3.08. Cost of goods sold, again, $1. $24.29. 29 cents sale price led me to a net profit of $20.21. Man Outside Himself, Methods of Astral Projection. I find occult books and astrology books and tarot books tend to do pretty well for me, and this kind of falls into that category. So another type of book potentially to be on the lookout for. Talked about one of these last week, if I'm not mistaken. One of the kind of adult pulp erotic books, Adult Education by Vin Fields from 1967. This was a first printing by Midwood, paperback in reasonably good shape. I picked it up at an estate sale back in the winter for 50 cents, listed and sold for $24.99 over on eBay plus shipping. Fees, $4.60. Promoted listing general, again, for $2.18. That 50-cent cost of goods sold helps out. $24.99 item sale led to a profit of $17.79. Another one on eBay. These were part of a massive buy that I did probably 6 weeks ago. I picked up, I think it was 659 books or something like that for $250 as part of an estate cleanout. A selection on the letters of Horace Walpole, edited by W.S. Lewis. It's a 2-volume set from 1926. The dust jackets were in pretty rough shape, a lot of staining. The flaps were all but torn off completely. The books themselves were in reasonably good condition. Again, that worked out to me to be cost of goods sold of 38.5 cents an item. So if that's right, no, these were 51 cents. These were 51 cents a piece. So $1.02 on this. This set sold for $30 on a best offer plus shipping, $5.95 in fees, $289. Man, I did hit my head. $2.89 in promoted listings general. $30 sale netted me $20.89. Design for Flight, Charles Hampson Grant from 1947. This is an illustrated hardcover published by Greenberg about the design of airplanes, like paper airplanes and model airplanes. Really kind of interesting little book. Had it listed for, I believe, $34 or $35.99. Received an offer of $32.49, and that's what I went ahead and sold it for. Fees, $5.76, and again, promoted listing fee. You can see it was a big week for eBay collecting fees. $2.79. This was part, again, of the big 15,000 book lot, so 4 cents cost of goods sold, $32.49, netted me $23.90. Here's one that I picked up. I talked about this sale previously. This was back in probably June or July, an estate sale with a huge assortment of African-American biographies and history books looking at Black politicians and Black history going as far back as the mid-1800s up through kind of the civil rights movement in the 60s and then into the early 70s. Really interesting lot of books that I was there on the last day of the sale. The bookshelf was still completely full. To be fair, it was kind of behind the front door, so maybe a lot of people didn't even know it was back there, but I picked up a ton of books for $2 a piece, and they have been selling very, very well. This was Black Power USA, The Human Side of Reconstruction from 1867 to 1877, written by Lerone Bennett Jr. I had this listed, I think, for $47.99. I received an offer of $42 plus shipping, which I went ahead and accepted. Fees, $7.30. No ad fee on this one, so this is a nice little hit. $42 sale led to a net profit of $32.70. First sale of the week over on Mercari. Claude Rains, a comprehensive illustrated reference by John Soyster, an illustrated hardcover in really, really nice condition. This was part of a big lot of hardcover books on films and radio that I picked up. Gosh, it's probably been coming up on a year now. Had this listed on Mercari for $45 with free shipping, and that's what it sold for. No fees, because Mercari charges those fees to the buyer. So a $45 gross sale led to a net profit after shipping of $37.62. Second sale over on Mercari. This was part of a big lot of kind of science and textbooks. This one was unusual. It's one I don't know. Maybe let me know if this is something you would have even bothered to list, or if you will bother to list one of these now if you ever find one. This is a Master of Science thesis booklet from MIT in 1974, Severe Convective Mesosystems in New England. So this was someone's actual thesis paper that was submitted for their Master of Science degree at MIT. It was in one of those funky little binders with the kind of punch-through flaps or whatever. Not a hardcover book or anything like that. A lot of times, I think people would probably just overlook these because they're not written necessarily by famous or well-known people. This is just some guy that ended up living in Dayton who wrote this thing. I threw it up on Mercari and on eBay, in this case for $47 with free shipping. It's been up there less than a month, and it sold. $47 for this master's thesis, no fees again on Mercari, so it only cost me the shipping. And again, my cost of goods sold on this item was 94 cents. So a $47 sale netted me $39.93. Let me know if you have ever listed kind of these master's or doctorate thesis papers, and if you've done any good with them. Back over to Etsy, Trick or Treat, Doris Miles Disney Crime Club First Edition hardcover from 1955, published by Doubleday. No dust jacket with this book, just the book itself, but it was in pretty good shape. The feedback I got from the buyer was that it was in excellent condition, even though I had it listed as acceptable. So that's, again, under promise, over deliver. I had it listed for $54.99. With the 10% off, it sold for $49.49. So be on the lookout for this, Trick or Treat by Doris Miles Disney from the 1950s. Fees, $5.56. Cost of goods sold, 4 cents. Again, part of that big book lot. So a $49.49 item netted me $44.64 all told. Another kind of interesting book. This was picked up at an estate sale a couple of months ago for $1 whole. How to Power Tune MGB 4-Cylinder Engines for Road and Track by Peter Burgess, written in 1996. This is a out-of-print paperback, kind of a big book, 8.5 by 11 size book. This particular estate sale had a pretty good assortment of old books on MGs and small, like, roadsters, British-built roadsters from the 60s and 70s. This book is out of print, so it's fairly desirable. This sold over on eBay. I had it listed for $54.99 or best offer. I received an offer of $50 because I own it for $1. I thought that was a good deal, so I went ahead and sold it. $50 plus shipping. Order total was $57.72. Fees, $8.17 plus a ad fee of $4.04. With the cost of goods sold, I netted $36.79 on this item. Oops, wrong button. There we go. Back over to Etsy, The End, closing lines of over 3,000 theatrically released films by R. Donna Cheshire, hardcover book. This is from that same lot as the one we talked about earlier of all of the movie and radio books that I picked up. I believe this is one of the ones by McFarland Publishing. If you see those and can get them for $1 or $2, they bring pretty good money. This was listed for $59.99 and sold with a discount on Etsy for $53.99 plus shipping. Fees, $6.05. Shipping was $5.38. Cost of goods sold, again, $2, so $53.99 turned into $45.94 to me. This will be our last two coming up here, but they're pretty cool. This one sold over on eBay. This was from the same lot of kind of electron microscope books and science books that I've talked about a few times on this show. Some of them were quite old. This one was quite a bit newer. Electron Energy Loss Spectroscopy in the Electron Microscope. This is a third edition paperback textbook from 2011, but it was really, really valuable. There were only a handful of these listed. I believe I had mine listed for $199.99, and I received an offer of $160 for this book, which I thought was a good deal because it was part of that big buyout, and I own it for 94 cents. So I went ahead and took that and shipped this thing on its way. So $160 plus shipping and tax. The order total was $178.59. I paid $24.43 in fees. Again, shipping cost was $618. I did send this Ground Advantage, but did add insurance because it was over $100. So I paid a little bit extra to get this thing shipped out. Again, 94-cent cost of goods sold. Total cost $44.01, so $134.58 net profit with an addendum. So we're going to go on a little bit of a side tangent here again. eBay has been talking about kind of their new advertising dashboard and giving you like near real-time updates with your fees and how your ads are doing and yada, 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 whatever. But they always have caveated that with it may take up to 72 hours to reconcile. This is one that at that 72-hour mark, so 3 days later, I did receive, it was after I had already prepared this slide and I didn't go in and edit it, I did receive a promoted listing general charge for this item that amounted to like $12 and something. So again, the moral of the story is keep an eye on your fees because those things tend to pop up sometimes quite late. Again, this one was right at the tail end of a 3-day wait after this item had sold before I got that charge on my eBay listing. So be aware of that. And now your flip of the week. And this one was particularly fun. This was part of a free estate pickup that I did a few weeks ago. A estate seller reached out to me and said she had done a sale at this home. There were a lot of books there. She had already kind of washed her hands of the sale, and the owner was now trying to finish everything up. And they had a bunch of books that they just wanted to get rid of if I was interested in. So I reached out to the owner, and they said, yes, if you can come get them, you can just have them. And a lot of them were, we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, a couple of those Japanese Ikebana books. So there was some good stuff in that, but there were a ton of automotive books. This one being the coolest one, Eric Loban Cord and his empire, his motor cars, Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg. So this is a guy who was a automotive engineer and designer who designed and developed a bunch of really cool cars back in the early 1900s, including for Duesenberg. This book was published in 1984. It was a limited edition run, leather-bound, in a slipcase, numbered. I believe there were only 1,500 of these ever printed. This was number 772 out of 1,500. Free to me, listed and sold for $299.99 plus shipping. So a really, really nice sale. Shipping paid was $13.63. The order total, $337.93. I did pay eBay $37.96 in fees and $23.66 in promoted listing fees. Shipping was $14.30. Again, I shipped this by Ground Advantage and added insurance. So I did lose a little bit of money on shipping to ensure that I was covered in case something happened. This is another item that has already been received and feedback left that he was thrilled with the whole experience. Cost of goods sold, $0. Very nice. Total costs were $100.23. So this $299 sale netted me $237.70. The other interesting thing with this was that those last two books literally sold on Labor Day within 5 minutes of each other. I got a notification first for that textbook, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, holiday, didn't expect to have a bunch going on. Sold this book for $160. I'm like, yeah, all right. And not 5 minutes later, I get another one, and it's $300. So it was a very, very good week here at the Galaxy, other than getting crashed into by two teenagers who had stolen a car. You can't have everything, right? Again, thank you to everyone who reached out about that incident. clearly my mood has improved some since that all happened. I'm still in the process of working with insurance to get essentially my money because the car was paid off, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be totaled. It's a mess. If you want to see some pictures of it, go to my Instagram at GalaxyCDs Rocks and take a look. I posted a couple of pictures, but it's pretty trashed. Thank you, as always, for coming and spending a little bit of time with me here on the show. If you have anything that you would like to add or comment on, please feel free to leave it in the comments here on YouTube, or you can also do that now on Spotify as well. If you got something out of this, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button or give the podcast a review. I would really appreciate it. And now it's time to sell. Thanks, guys. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.